10. Headlines and weather from around the state in less than 10 minutes.
In the WVLT newsroom, I'm Harry Sullivan. Today, East Tennessee Representative Gloria Johnson expected to make a big announcement in 3 cities across the state. She filed exploratory paperwork last month for the possibility of running for Marsha Blackburn's U.S. Senate seat. Johnson's campaign released a statement this morning saying that Gloria Johnson will announce she is running for U.S. Senate with residents and leaders in Knoxville, Nashville, and Memphis. Johnson made national headlines back in March and April when she avoided expulsion from the State House for her part in a protest calling for more gun restrictions. That protest was after the Covenant School shooting in Nashville. And Knoxville native Tammy Manis, here she is. She is now the 2024 Guinness World Record holder for the world's longest competitive mullet. Her mullet stands at 68 inches or 5 feet 8 inches long. She's not breaking records when she's not doing that. She's a public health nurse for the Knox County Health Department. Manis says the first mullet started as a rat tail inspired by a band she loved in the 80s. She says then on February 9th, 1990, she committed to it full time, never looked back. It was a second place finish at the USA Mullet Championship that led her to being in the Guinness World Record books.
And next thing I know, got an invitation to enter it, and this has been almost a year, or a little over a year in the process. And I found out when I got this sitting on my porch, I went, oh, this is wild. This is really cool. So, yeah, it's actually the first entry. They actually opened up a competitive mullet category.
You can catch Manis in the Guinness World Record books in the 2024 edition once it hits store shelves. She says it should be released later this month. And this weekend, Tennessee will honor Vol football legend Condredge Holloway. Saturday marks the anniversary of his first game, making him the first black quarterback to start in the Southeastern Conference. And a part of his legacy and honoring that legacy, UT football will wear special uniforms for the home opener. The Vols are taking the iconic smoky gray colors and adding a vintage look. Uniforms nicknamed the Artful Dodger in reference to Holloway's name in the 70s. UT's game on Saturday marks 51 years since Holloway made history as the first black quarterback in the SEC.
The big deal was they were willing to let me play quarterback. Everybody else in the league wasn't. You know, being the first black quarterback was a big deal. And UT and Coach Battle didn't have a problem with it. So that was the main reason I was here.
Holloway also the first black member of the UT baseball team. He's one of only 3 UT baseball players to ever have their jersey retired. We'll get to see the Vols back in action for the home opener in Neyland Stadium this Saturday at 5 o'clock. They'll take on the Governors of Austin Peay. In the WVLT newsroom, I'm Harry Sullivan. Those are your top stories around East Tennessee.
And good morning. I'm Amanda Hara at WSMV in Nashville. COVID-19 cases are rising in Tennessee. In the last week, the CDC says the case count has jumped 30%. Take a look at this map. It shows the number of ER visits caused by COVID in the past week. For the first time in months, Tennessee is in the moderate category. Plus, these are only official state-reported tests. So those at-home tests, they are not included in these numbers. And this chart from the State Department of Health shows COVID hospitalizations across Tennessee over the past 2 months. You can see the surge right there. It is the most we've seen in more than half a year. With more than 350 people in the hospital, 56 in the ICU, 6 of them hooked up to ventilators. A lot of this is the work of the newest COVID variant, which can bypass the natural immunity that you may have if you got sick from a past variant. We do have some encouraging news, though. Early reports indicate it may be less contagious than other variants. There's also a new booster coming out soon, which targets the new variant. That'll likely be available sometime this month.
We expect to see an increase in cases, especially as we get into the colder months like we have every year with COVID. And I think the CDC and FDA are really transitioning into an annual vaccine, very similar to the flu when it comes to COVID.
Well, the CDC has not recommended masks anywhere in Tennessee. A rare spotless giraffe born at a zoo in East Tennessee officially has a name this morning. Bright Zoo let people vote on 4 different choices, and they have now revealed the winner. The calf, born at the end of July, will now be known as Kippakee, which means unique. She is the only known giraffe without spots, and the zoo hopes that she's going to help with conservation efforts. The last spotless giraffe on record was in Tokyo all the way back in 1972. Well, you don't have to reel in a state record to get recognized in Tennessee. TWRA now handing out First Fish Awards to anyone, regardless of age, who makes their first catch in the volunteer state. You've got to share some information with TWRA. You can do it online or through the mail in order to get your certificate. Have a look at what's making headlines in the mid-state.
Here are your top stories from the Mid-South. Later today, the entire state of Tennessee will be able to pay their respects to former Governor Don Sundquist. The 47th governor of Tennessee will lie in state in the rotunda of the Tennessee Capitol from 9 this morning until 3 p.m. Sundquist will be laid to rest in Townsend. He died on August 27th at the age of 87. And a family and community are mourning the death of 21-year-old Wes Smith. The Germantown native and Texas Christian University football player was shot and killed while standing in a popular area in Fort Worth, Texas. Andre Lott coached Wes Smith from the time he entered into St. George's Independent School in the 6th grade all the way until he became team captain his senior year. He says he was a leader who helped shape some of the younger players who are still playing at St. George's today.
Yesterday was a rough one. Very supportive, always happy, hardworking, grading academics, man. I was just very surprised about it.
The headmaster for St. George's Independent School says they'll be offering grief counseling in the days and weeks ahead. Those are your headlines from the Mid-South.
Meteorologist Stefano DiPietro live with a look at the forecast where you live. Stefano, some people have the possibility of seeing storms today and maybe even tomorrow.
And they will be very hit or miss, Amanda. So nothing very well organized, but just any thunderstorm that develops, especially tomorrow, could be on the strong side. So let's get a look at the overall severe weather threat. I'm looking along I-65 through parts of Middle Tennessee, Nashville down through Lawrenceburg, and as far out as West Tennessee, Memphis through Tiptonville. It's a low-end threat, 1 out of 5 on the scale. The threat does not extend to areas like Knoxville and Chattanooga. The main concerns with any thunderstorm would be damaging wind gusts. There could be some small hailstones in there. Looks a little bit more isolated. I wouldn't worry too much about flooding or a tornado threat. The flooding threat just isn't a problem because it's been so dry. The rest of our day today, you'll want to keep an eye to the sky for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. We'll start off with a little rain tomorrow. The window of timing for potential severe weather is right in the middle of our afternoon, Amanda.
All right, Stefano, thanks for joining us for Tennessee in 10. In Nashville, I'm Amanda Hera. Have a great day.
This is Tennessee in 10. Headlines and weather from around the state in less than 10 minutes.